What is up, everyone? Today I actually want to talk about a topic that goes off of the last video I made. And the last video being, can everything in the game be viable? Well, now I want to talk about the use of stick controls versus motion controls. And I actually wanted to do this for quite some time before I even made that viability video. Now, there's another channel that some of you might have heard of, the SquidKids channel. And they've done a few videos that I plan to, over the course of the next few weeks, do my own take on. And one of them was a stick versus motion controls video. Now, the reason I'm wanting to redo this, or do my take on it, is because that channel was more geared towards just people that were playing the game. And I wanted to redo some of their videos to provide a more in-depth and competitive look at some of this stuff. And so today I want to go over the use of stick controls versus motion controls. So if you're interested in watching their video, a link to that will be in the description as well, along with all the other stuff that will be mentioned later. Alright, so first off, back when the game first came out, there was a lot of debate about whether or not the motion control was going to be a gimmick, and that if motion controls were not going to be worth it, or they were going to be bad. So a lot of people didn't use the motion controls, me included. At least for a long time, I actually didn't use motion controls. And so a lot of the early tournaments and early footage that you can even still go back into this channel and find, it's me using motion or stick controls. And it wasn't until I want to say October of last year. I can't remember, but there was at some point that I decided I wanted to switch over to using motion controls. And so how I did that was I taught myself to use the motion controls by playing on an alt account and trying to use chargers and get used to flick shotting and everything, and get myself I wanted a weapon where I would have to use the motion controls to be good at it. And while you can be good with chargers and stick controls, I wanted something that would be a bit more something a lot of people were pointing out. It's chargers are very good with motion controls, and so I wanted to try that. So now it's become less of a topic of debate whether or not someone can be good with stick controls or not, but I still see it come up every so often. So can you be good with stick controls? Absolutely. It takes a bit more time because there's the sensitivity between the difference between +5 on stick and +5 on motion is really high, exceptionally high. It's harder to do quick turns with stick controls even on +5, which is why a lot of people that use stick controls will point out that you want to use the Y turning, which is where if you press Y while holding a direction on the left stick, you can actually quick turn and do 180s and stuff like that. And so you can be good with the stick controls, but you have to get used to the turning being a little slower. And then with some weapons, it actually is completely doable with stick controls. Like I said, I used to use stick controls all the time. I use rollers, which, despite what some people will say is an easy weapon, it does take some getting used to, especially when people nowadays can it's harder to turn with stick controls, and when people are now trying to run around and swim around your roller, then it takes some time getting used to turning with the person as they move. So if you it's hard to say if something is going to be easier to use on stick control. A lot of things are obviously going to be easier to play on motion because the game was actually designed with motion controls in mind. The game was designed around the motion controls, and stick controls were included for those who didn't want to use the motion. So there are some people in this community that are top level players that use stick controls, and one of them is a guy that I watch a lot, and his name is Super Mario 92. This guy has been using stick controls since day one, and he's a really good player. He's really good at the game. He's really he is probably what I would consider the best stick user that I have ever seen. I haven't seen too much of the Japanese community, but he is definitely probably the best stick control user in the Western community, And if you're interested in watching his streams, a link to his channel will be in the description as well. But I definitely recommend you check him out. He's a prime example of stick controls being still useful. Now, is it better than motion? No, because the game was designed for motion controls, and stick controls were just kind of thrown on there for people that didn't want to use it. But stick controls can still be good. It takes a bit more time to get used to and adjust to the like the weaknesses that it has, because you can't turn as fast as motion, and so thus your reaction speed is going to be a bit slower. So unless you get used to the Y turning, Y snapping, or whatever it is you want to call it, you'll be at a slight disadvantage when it comes to turning, and that might be something you have to get used to. But there are some weapons that you can still be good at with stick controls. Mainly, like, rollers can be okay with stick controls, blasters can be okay with stick controls, even some shooters you could do fine with stick controls. There's quite a few people that use stick controls for 52 gal and 10 attack and still do okay. It's not completely impossible to be good with stick controls. It's just that the game was designed for motion, and so a lot of it's just going to be easier to use motion controls. So if you're ever wondering, like, if you wanted to not use motion controls and you're an avid user of the stick controls and you're wondering if it's ever possible for you to be as good, it is possible. It's going to take more time, and you're going to have to do more to learn how to get around the slow turning speed and the slow adjustments and all that. It's going to be a challenge, but it's definitely something that is completely possible. Back when SRL first started out and we started becoming more and more known, I was still using stick controls. Like, a lot of the videos that people talk about, where it was there's oh, I found silver because it was Octobrush play in this video. It's like, a lot of the times people bring up videos where I was using stick controls still. Like, it's not completely impossible to be good and to be known for using stick controls. It's just going to take more work and more effort. But in the end, that effort will pay off when you will be known as, like, someone that has made stick controls work. It may be, like, it is a completely different, like, experience. Just, like, to be the person that is known for using stick controls is way different. Like, a lot of people use motion controls. A good majority of the community uses motion controls, and so it's not really something special. But being the one, like, someone who uses stick controls and can still dominate and do well, that's a big achievement. That is something special. So if you have wanted to continue to use stick controls and felt like you are inferior to people using motion, there is some truth to that. It is slightly a downgrade. Like I said, the game was designed for motion, and so obviously it's going to be more geared towards people that use it. But you are not at the biggest disadvantage, and it's not impossible for you to be good with stick controls. You can still do well, you can still be good, and you can still reach a top level. It's just going to take more work, because you have to get around the weaknesses in the control, and you have to find ways to make that work for you. So I hope that somebody has reconsidered their thoughts on someone's use of motion controls, and I hope that this helps anyone out there that is worried about them being considered less of a player or, like, not as good when they're using stick controls. And the next time, probably next week, because I'm wanting to do more. I want to have more of a schedule, so I may start doing one upload a week. My the video next week will be talking about if save scumming or save editing can be considered cheating. And so if that's something you have been wondering about, you can tune in next week, and that will be the video. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all later.